Well, hi YouTubers, hi, I'm back. Okay, we're 60 books in isolation, and I hope everyone's going okay at the moment. I know it's a bit difficult. We're about a month into it so far, and it's amazing how much the landscape has changed, hasn't it? It's just such a confusing time for everyone. I hope that everyone's okay. Okay, so it's the 22nd of April, and it's just very, very surreal right now, isn't it, the world we're living in now? So, but anyway, we're still here, and we're still kind of getting through it. So, another book. So, here we go. VIII Sisters, VIII Queens by Philippa Gregory, which came out in 2016. Her new #1 bestseller. Okay, we're 4 years old. Let me read the blurb. When Catherine of Aragon is brought to the Tudor court as a young bride, the oldest princess, Margaret, takes her measure. With one look, each knows the other of her rival, an ally, a pawn, destined with Margaret's younger sister Mary to unique sisterhood. The visitors will become queens of England, Scotland, and France. Despite being united by family loyalties and affections, the three queens find themselves set against each other. But as they experience betrayals, dangers, loss, and passion, they find that the only constant in their precarious lives is a special bond more powerful than any man, even a king. Okay, so now this book is very, very interesting because I thought it'd be for each sister's point of view. There's two biological sisters and one sister-in-law. Now this has been kind of covered in other Philippa Gregory books, okay, about the Tudor court. I mean, the other Boleyn sisters and those kind of series, if you will, that's kind of been done. She has a habit of taking exactly the same point of view, same moment in history, but from other people's point of view. Now this is all done by the point of view of Margaret Tudor, who at a very, very young age was betrothed to the King of Scotland, was sent up there, and the problem is that as a character, Margaret is not a good character. She is very, very conceited, she's arrogant. She is in her mind, obviously, because she is a princess. So she's been raised within the kind of Tudor court, and you can imagine that suddenly going out to Scotland, which is a bit more, well, hey, it's Scotland. I mean, it's a bit more, I guess say rustic. It's a bit more grit. It's a bit more. In Scotland has cold weather. They're made tough in Scotland. Even today, the Scots are a tough, proud people. Okay, now she's brought her arrogant Tudor kind of mentality to this country. She is out of her depth. She doesn't know anyone, and yet she kind of has a habit of friending the wrong people. And the thing is, the way she approaches so many things is once again shows her arrogance. Now, I'm gonna give you an example. This is how the book opens. This is opening in 1501. I wear white and green as a Tudor princess. Really, I think of myself as the one and only Tudor princess, so my sister Mary is too young to do more than be brought in by her nurse at supper time and taken out again. I make sure Mary's nursemaids are quite clear that she's to be shown to our new sister-in-law and then go. There's no point in letting her sit up at the table or gorge on crystallized plums, which things make her sick and she gets tired to a ball. She's only 5 years old, far too young for state occasions, unlike me. I am all but 12. As to play the part in the wedding, it would not be complete without me. My lady grandmother, the king's mother, said so herself. See? At 12 years old, she's very, very arrogant. And then at a very, very young age, she's betrothed to the King of Scotland, marries him, moves up there. Okay? And she's so out of her depth. Now, this is page 64. Okay? This is literally a year later. Now, obviously, she's very, very young to get married, but say they were. Henry Tudor's mother, they were married very young at that age. And it's very, very young. They're barely out of the teens. Okay. This is when, okay, she meets her husband James, who is very, very religious, very, very nice. The way he's described is very kind of gruff. He's a warrior. He's a king, but he's a warrior. And this is how the difference between Tudor mentality and obviously Scots mentality. Right. This is when after the wedding, okay, she meets James's children. There you go. He's on his knees with the wet cobblestone so he can kiss the smallest child and takes the baby from its nurse as he gets up. His eyes are alight with love. I've never seen him like this before. This other little ones scamper around him, pulling at his riding jacket, and the older boy stands proudly beside the king, as if he is of such importance that he should be presented to me, as if he expects that I should be glad to meet him. Who are these? James beams at this beautiful surprise. These are my children, he announces, his wide arm gestures taking the 6 little heads and one his arms. My little bends. He turns to them. My little lords and ladies, this is the new Queen of Scotland, my wife. This is my Queen Margaret, who has come all the way from England to the honour of being my wife and your good mother. Little Baron Kirsty with a trained grace. I inclined my head, but I'm completely lost about what to do. Wildly I wonder if he was married before and no one told me. Surely he cannot have a secret wife. Mother's got all these children hidden away here in the castle. What should I do? If she were faced with these terrible circumstances, what would Catherine do? Do they have a mother? I asked. Several. Right. Yeah, so mistresses, and only one of them thankfully dead. So this is when obviously Margaret finds out that she's a stepmother to 7 children, and sadly this is where after James dies, that after because Margaret Tudor she actually lost several children, only one of her children survived to become obviously the King of Scotland and England. That's James. These children are introduced, but then they kind of drop out the narrative and never really hear from them again or know what they're doing. Okay, which is a shame. James dies tragically in battle with the English, and his boys kind of paraded around, and this is where the kind of dissent comes in, because at this point, the original brother died, and Arthur, and then Henry became Henry VIII. So obviously one king dispatched for the heir, basically spare became the heir, and that's now Henry VIII. And this is where dissent comes in, because obviously after James dies, Margaret blames Catherine for the death, about not getting the body back. The fact her body was returned, but apparently it was the wrong body. And the thing is, and this is also from Margaret's point of view, she's so narrow-minded. She lost herself with the wrong people, essentially being the Queen Mother after James is killed. She had the option of husbands. However, she went for passion over the typical Tudor mindset, which is money and power over love. Okay, now as history has told us, love gets you in a lot of trouble if you're a Tudor. Okay, and Margaret married this man here. Okay, his name was Angus. So I had to get up his wiki page. Okay, Angus, so Archibald Douglas, the 6th Earl of Angus, Archibald. Okay, now as soon as James dies, it's a passion marriage, and I think that Archibald wants power and money, and essentially he wants to usurp King James. He basically tries to take control. And Margaret is so kind of deluded within herself, she kind of falls for it. She falls for all these smears, all these lies. And you think a woman who'd been raised by the Tudor court will have a bit more savvy. But she's not. But in her head she still is, if you understand. If you understand. Right. Right, this bit here. Oh. So, and it's quite funny how Henry VIII kind of resisted letting Margaret divorce Archibald. In the end, that did actually happen because he was against it, and actually read that as well. Looked it up as well. At the time, he was much against divorce, and you're thinking, well, look how you turned out. So this bit here is several years later. This goes through like many years of a book. Okay. This is 1507. There's no doubt in my mind who is now foremost of the 3 princesses, my sister-in-law Catherine of Aragon, my sister Mary, or myself. It is obviously me. Catherine failed to conceive a child of Arthur and then told everyone. Alas, it never happened for us. Now her marriage is never mentioned, as she is a poor relation, dear and wanted hanger on. People may praise Mary's beauty and her talents, but her betrothal to Charles of Castile is still only a plan, and he is nothing more than a child himself. His father has died, so he is now heir to the Holy Roman Emperor. But he's still a little boy, and she won't be able to marry or present the husband with a son at any time in the next 8 years. Right. Her entire mentality in this book is, I've got to get one over on my sisters. Now, the glorious force of sibling rivalry, she's jealous of Catherine of Aragon, okay? She's jealous of her younger sister. Why would she be jealous of anyone? But she just is. Essentially, her entire motivations within this book, apparently her entire life, is to get one over on her siblings. And that's it. That is it. Okay? If they get more success than she does, she's jealous. Okay? Catherine of Aragon, obviously a case like a power trip to her, because Catherine of Aragon couldn't have any surviving sons, and Mary Tudor did. Okay? Actually, she had 4 children, but only one of them survived to adulthood. Okay? So, that is it. That is it. That is it. Right. Now, halfway through the book is when Archibald comes in, okay? And she does it without permission of the court, which as the Queen Consort is a dangerous thing to do. She is obviously ruling by proxy until her son James is old enough to take the throne himself. This bit here, this is 1514. Let's see how quick he rushes for the book. We have to marry at once, of course we do. We have to marry at once because only desires have taken hold of me, and the first time in my life I could sing and dance and laugh for the power of it. It's the summer I have never had before. A summer when I felt myself to be a woman, when I felt the blood in my veins and the warmth of my skin, and the love of my staff to smooth my young body, the fullness of my breast, the warm wetness of... Oh, I'm reading that out. This is my moment. I have not been beloved by a man who wants me for myself, and not as the emblem of a treaty between two courtiers. It is the man I've chosen, this fascinating, engaging, charming, delightful man, who has given me such pleasure I cannot be parted with him night or day. You see what I mean? Lust. She is basically going for this guy. It's all a fraud. Archibald was a terrible person who essentially had mistresses, basically took Margaret's money, but she's deluded. She's all by herself in this Scots kingdom. She has no idea who to turn to, instead of ruling as a queen should. Now, history obviously has not been kind to this woman, but it's kind of justified. When she ignores the advice of her advisors, they'll turn on her. Scotland is a more brutal place than England, even with what the Tudors got up to around this times. Okay, Scotland is a warrior country, and she's not acting like a warrior queen as she needed to be. Right, see what I mean? Right, and she comes across as so spoiled and petulant, This bit is only a chapter later, same year. The Council of Lords dares to tell me I forfeited the regency. They dared to tell Archibald that they will summon him on a charge to marry me without their consent. They even dared to say that Gavin Douglas should not be bishop, and that I cannot make him Archbishop of St Andrews, since another bishop is already nominated. If the church plans are not in my keeping, I have not asked Harry to support the Douglas clan. I am regent and can marry and honour whomever I wish. They come and summon me and the regent to meet with them and Archibald, and I storm south to Edinburgh, filled with rage and determination that no one ever questions me or my rights. And that's interesting because obviously there's battle going on, and she has a third marriage as well. But her bitterness consumes her, and obviously when things like battles and war, they're never done from her point of view. Being from her point of view, and she's a woman at a limited time, she is basically a regretful character. There's moments where she could have married, could have married the Holy Roman Emperor in France. Holy Roman Emperor in Italy. There is basically, she threw away any prestige or privilege that she ever had over lust. She's a lustful character, and she's a tragic character. And that's the problem is, and it's all from her old narrow worldview. And the fact is that she does it all because she wants to get one over on her siblings, and I find that ridiculous. So, as a Philippa Gregory book, compared to the others that she's read, because obviously this is historical fiction, it's taken these characters and who are real, and basically there's a historical fiction narrative to them. There is a bit where they bring up like Elizabeth Woodville, who obviously was descended from a goddess. There's bits where it kind of keys into the other earlier books, but all it is a book about a tragic character, and instead of being three sisters, three queens, it's only about the one, and sadly the less interesting one. Okay? What Catherine of Aragon went through, obviously, to marry a man, lose him, marry her brother, and it was all over money, lose so many of her children, and have only one surviving one, that was Queen Mary, and her life was so absolutely tragic, being blamed for all this. And yet Margaret is bitter towards her because of the power. Yeah. So, as books go, could have been a lot better. So anyway, 6 books in isolation. Hope everyone's going to keep safe. Please keep safe. Please keep safe. And I'm signing off here. And bye now.